Hey everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. As you can see, I still do not have my usual camera and computer setup going, so we're doing it on the trusty old video camera, which I don't know, it doesn't look great and it doesn't have much to work with in my department anyway, so oof, I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but I'm still hoping to get this thing up and running. I will be setting up well, let's see. I guess by the time you see this, I'll be setting up this weekend, and that's July 4th, 5th, 6th, Expo Building, Community Center in the Expo Building at the Dickinson County Fairgrounds, Spirit Lake. If you're going to be there, come on by, say hi. I know it's supposed to be a hot and maybe even a little bit rainy over the 4th of July weekend, but we have air conditioning. So one of the reasons I moved in there is we have air conditioning, indoor plumbing, and we even have a food stand. So you know what? Yeah, stop by, say hi, cool off, you know, have a sandwich, have something to drink, hit the restroom, whatever you need to do. We will be there, and that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So one of the rare occasions, we're not going to be there Monday. And that's kind of nice for the dealers, because usually, you know, that's their last day, half day going home. So I would say on Sunday, it's kind of the same deal there. You're probably going to want to get there before 2:30 on Sunday, because the dealers will be packing up. So just to warn you, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday, Monday on this one. Got my list here from my friend Corey up in Collectibles there in Minnesota. Talk about the clash of collecting versus selling. Some get into dealing with the intention of growing their collection, never considering sometimes the need to sell will clash with the collecting desire. Yeah, and I think that for the old-fashioned collectors, I'm going to use that word, I think that's always a problem, because the old guys like me, my generation and older, tend to be more completists. So they try and get a whole run of things. I guess the more modern or contemporary collector, really it's just keys, first appearances, deaths of, uber rare stuff, high grade stuff. So I don't see that quite as much, because they're usually buying a better piece, but it's usually not one necessarily that they're going to sit on it. They think it's a investment. But either way, especially like in a down economy, or during the early part of COVID, a lot of people were out of work, mass layoffs, inflation nowadays, things like that. This is why I've always said, no matter what you collect what you like. Don't collect it because you think it's going to be valuable. Don't get wrapped up in the speculation of things, because that's where you really get burned. That's where you usually spend extra money. You follow the trends a little bit. Hulk 181, Amazing Fantasy 15, you know what? They've gone down too. Okay, so they're not immune to economic forces at all. And you have to be really careful, because if books like that, or collectibles, high-end collectibles like that, Michael Jordan rookie cards, that Fleer card, which is not a rare card, and it's a heavily counterfeited card, that thing graded was just phenomenal. And if you had one and didn't sell it then, it's still not quite as phenomenal. And they're always going to be worth more than your average book. But when stuff like that comes down, it depresses the rest of the market. And so as a collector, why are you collecting? That's really what you have to decide. If you're collecting as a speculator or an investor or long term, you have to be able to afford to sit on it. Okay, you can't do the meme stock thing where you buy it what's hot and then it crashes hard and you need the money because it's on debt. So a lot of collectors I see these days go into debt to speculate and buy their own stuff too, but mainly it's they go into debt to grade something, to buy a better book. and they hope they're going to get, say a raw comic, and they hope they're going to get an 8 or a 9 or a 9.4 or 9.8, and it comes back a 7. So you better know what you're doing, and you better be able to afford it. It gets really, really expensive hobby really fast if that's kind of what you're doing. Now, collectors, they're not as picky about grades. They'll take a low grade comic as long as it's complete. They'll even take coverless comics if it's for keys or older books. They're more your, budget conscious collectors. And it does happen, but they don't put themselves in harm's way. So in other words, because they're buying a lot of, I want to say $5 and under books, and one of their better books might be 50, 60, or $100. But they're in a position where, they really haven't backed themselves into a corner dollars and cents wise, like if you're speculating on them for resale or long-term investment, where, you pretty much got to buy the keys, you got to have them graded, and as much as you'd like to think so, even say a Hulk 181, unless it's a lower grade, those really expensive books are not easy to bring to market. There's a lot of interest in them. But unless you know somebody that's sitting there with that kind of cash or those kind of assets that they can just buy it from you, face to face, you're going to have to pay a fee somewhere, whether you sell it on Hakes or Heritage. My Comic Shop, doesn't matter if you sell it on eBay. And I would not put something good on Facebook Marketplace, because you're just telling the whole world that you got nice stuff, and there's a lot of people that look at those ads that maybe want a 5-finger discount or something like that. I'm real uncomfortable. I would not put something like that on a sales format, because I just don't think your odds are really, really good that you're going to sell it. You're going to get pestered a lot, and maybe the wrong people will see it. And really, it's just a personal choice. How do you want to do this? How do you want to spend your money? Is that what you really enjoy? I've said for a very long time, pre-COVID, probably for the last 25 years since I had my brick and mortar store in Northwest Iowa, if you want to invest, find yourself a good money manager and put it in investments that way, and then let it grow over the long term. And yes, there's ups and downs there too, but you usually don't have as much, if any, of the debt aspect, because they will not let you do that. If you have a money manager that says go into debt to buy this stuff, you need a new guy or girl or whatever it is. Don't do that. And so they're really in it for the long term, and they're patient. They don't have to react to market forces. But if you're in a position right now, where you've got a bunch of key books, say, I want to say in 2021, 2022, maybe even real early 2023, before the market really took a dump, and you put it on plastic, and all of a sudden the economy slowed, you've lost your job, whatever the situation is, you are completely at the mercy of market forces if you have done that as a seller or reseller, and that's not going to change. There is no better mousetrap that is going to get you out of that situation. So the best thing you can do is not put yourself in that situation. Make sure you have the capability and the financial resources to do that, if that's what you want to do. The other thing I'm seeing, and not just me, and I've talked about this in a couple of podcasts, although not recently, and this has just happened to me like 3 times in the last 6-8 weeks. People are calling me with collections, and it's pretty clear they need the money, right? They've expressed in some way, shape, or form, they need the money, need to pay some bills. And they're either holding back or have already sold off the key books and the good stuff. And they're basically just selling me the commons, if you're into trading cards, the bulk stuff. honestly, I've been turning most of them down flat. I can't do anything. I'm not going to take my money and put myself in that bad position by buying stuff that I'm going to get at best a bulk, a buck for, and I have to sell for $50 a long box or less for comics. And then I've got all the expense in dealing with them, from storage to hauling them around, if I sort through them or not. So if you are in that position, it could be tougher than you realize, because the market has been this way for a long time, where it's the keys, the first appearances, the stuff in the movies, whatever you want to call it. But if you've already sold that off, or you never had it, or whatever reason it's not there, you are just you're probably better off sitting on them. The problem is, I'll be honest. I've been telling people I'm not doing this forever, and there's not a lot of folks in my age group and younger doing this, and trying to find an outlet for bulk stuff is going to be tough, not just here in rural upper Midwest, but I think it's going to be tough everywhere, because there's so much of it, and nobody's looking for it. There's just very, very few people that are picking up that common stuff, even at low prices. So if you've got a lot of that, I don't know. I always tell people the most money you're going to get is trying to sell it yourself, but you're also going to have a massive amount of time, massive amount of work, massive learning curve on how to do that. And this whole idea on YouTube, and I've seen it there a lot, I still see it, that you can just take these things down to your local comic store, or somebody like me, a reseller, and just dump it. If you pick the good stuff out, no, and I don't care what it is. I got people calling me, hey, I got 15,000 Pokemon commons and uncommons. No holograms, no rares. I'm like, dude, they make, worldwide, I think in 2024, they made over 10 billion cards. So I don't know what you do with them, right? I mean, everybody who wants them's got 10. So, it can be really, really, really tough when your mentality, the way you like to collect or invest or speculate or buy collectibles, is that mindset. It can be very frustrating. And I don't see that changing. I don't see it getting better. You talk about inflation, whether it be food, cars, houses, that's all important stuff. The collectible stuff is not. And it's like a lot of luxury type goods. When the economy gets rough, people quit buying it. There's still a market, but that's why the AF-15s and 181s have come down, because that market has shrunk up. People are loaded on debt, they're maxed out on their credit cards or whatever it is, or they're just hesitant because the bills and things have gone up. And so that mentality versus just buying stuff to read or enjoy, or buying it on a budget or whatever, they're about as diverse as you can get. And generally the bulk guys are easy to buy from. When I mean that, the older collectors that just picked them up to read, and a lot of times what they did is they shrunk their collection up, and they bought the trade paperbacks or the reprinted hardcovers, whatever it is, and they just want to get this bulk stuff out of their way, and they know they didn't spend much on it, and they know it's not the end thing, because they're bargain hunters, right? So they see what's out there. They know the market very well, but they're easy to deal with because they understand that there's just nobody fighting over this stuff like they used to be, and probably not gonna be either for quite a while. So let me see. I'm going to reread this quick. I went on rambling. Yeah, and the intent of growing their collection. Sometimes the need to sell will clash with the collecting desire. And I don't know, there's no fix. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but you're just going to have to go into this with your eyes wide open and knowledgeable that if you get overextended, or you get in a position where you have to sell it, whatever it is, no matter which style you have, you're at the mercy of the market, and the smaller rural areas, it's probably worse. Even if there's a brick and mortar, you still got to pay the overhead for the brick and mortar. So I've talked about this before. You know, there's just no angle. You can play it however you want. And it's tough. I did that. So be right at 25 years ago now, I sold off most of my FF collection, nearly all of my Batman collection. I sold off all my Avengers collection. We were in a position where my wife had a job change. We came down here and I had nothing. We had nothing to put money down. We bought our first house where we were from, and we had a little equity in it, but it was, you know, the price difference 3 hours away from here was massive. You know, our house was a $50,000-$60,000 house, and the one we bought, the one we're in now, which was affordable at the time, was $140,000. So not quite double, but I mean, you know, so I sold off a bunch of that, and yeah, I was devastated, you know. And I haven't got most of them back. So I've never, you know, I had Batman starting at number 2. I was only missing about 80 issues in the Batman title. I was missing about, I think, 180, 190 in Detective title. I didn't collect those as hard, especially the earlier ones. I've never, you know, I had 4 FF number 1s at one time, never had another one since then. Avengers, I've had 4 or 5 Avengers number 1s, never had another one since then. So, you know, it's something, you know, it happens. Life happens, and it's not fun. But I'm okay, because I sold all that stuff, and we were able to put the down payment, and we've been here 25 years, 24 something years and some months. So, you know, obviously it was worth it, right? It's priorities on this, and sometimes you're just in a position where you got to do what you got to do, and the collections do tend to be pawns, you know, no matter what you collect. I was seeing this a lot with the action figures, especially 90s McFarlane Spawn stuff, red and green carded Star Wars Power of the Force, unopened cases, massive amounts of quantities. Star Trek figures would be another one. Even some of the Gen 2 Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff, you know, from that late 90s on up. And, you know, people have had their fun, and everything, no matter how you collect or how you look at this, collecting, you have to understand that collectibles are just like people. We all have an expiration date, and we rarely know when that expiration date is. And the way you tell is when you try and sell it. Let's just be honest. You know, if you've been collecting for even a short amount of time, and you know you're worn out, burned out, whatever it is, you've been collecting 50, 60 years. Like, well, I've been collecting 30 plus years. Well, probably close to 40. But you know, when it comes to that time, if you've got your enjoyment out of it, or you're not going to get any more enjoyment out of it at all, whatever, you're soured on the collectible or the lifestyle, whatever it is, you know, your options are to sit on it, or, you know, shop it around and take the best offer you can. And it's not fun, you know, it's not a great time. And a lot of people that leave that market, this is where I see the problem coming in long term for collectibles and younger people in this business. You know, I think those burnouts do not come back. The ones that had fun as a kid will come in their 30s. The stuff they bought is, you know, 10-year-olds. They'll start buying again when they're 30, when they have a little money, a little more established. The ones that bought in up front in 20, 30 somethings that threw this on their credit card, jumped into the market with both feet without any experience, they don't last long. They get burned out, and they never come back, and that's really unfortunate. And the move towards virtual, whether it be virtual trading cards, virtual comics, virtual collectibles in general, you know, if you're a video game or PC game player, you have the skins, you know, and people spend money on them. And you know, that's unfortunately the way the market's going. And a lot of this, there's two things that have kind of ruined this for collectors in general. One are adults. Adults ruin everything. We know that from childhood, right? When you were a 10-year-old kid, you know, and you were having fun, it was always an adult that you know, told you to go wash up or go home or eat your spinach or whatever it was. And two is the money, which again is connected to the adults. So you've seen some awful stupid money thrown at all sorts of collectibles for a while now. And how long is that going to last? I got to tell you, I honestly don't know, because for a long time, you know, an Action 1 was an investment. Buy it for $100,000, sell it for $250,000. Buy it for $250,000, sell it for $500,000. Buy it for $500,000, sell it for $1 million. Well, sooner or later, you're going to hit that expiration date even on a book like that. And when that is or how that is, I don't know, but you always need somebody else coming in behind that person that bought it for $1 million, 1.5, 2 million, whatever that is. You always need somebody else coming behind them, you know, to pay a higher price to keep that market going. And I'm not seeing that on the low-level stuff. The museum quality stuff, I'm sure there's always going to be somebody there. How fast that appreciation is going to go, I think it'll slow down. At some point, it's going to slow down a whole bunches on that. But on the other stuff, it just stops. And that's the market. So I don't know. Hopefully, Corey, let me know. I know you're probably going to watch this rambling. So I don't know if this is exactly what you wanted on this question. That's kind of what I interpreted on it. So if that's wrong, guys, just let me know. And if you got any other topics, by golly, send them. Hopefully, I'll have this computer thing, you know, up and running really, really soon, and we can get back to looking a little slicker than this old 700 or whatever 1000p camera or whatever the resolution is on it. That's it. That's all I've got. Have a great 4th of July. Stop by and see me in Spirit Lake if you're going to be there, and thanks for watching.